So SeaWorld Orlando recently sent out a new survey and it features a rather intriguing roller coaster. And my main questions to break down in this video is, where is there room in SeaWorld Orlando for this style of coaster? And are they possibly going to be removing Kraken to make way for this new ride? This is Theme Park Brandon. I'm really glad you're here. And this rather intriguing coaster concept is everything that a coaster enthusiast would want. It's a vertical launch style coaster. It's going to feature inversions, airtime, crazy transitions. This is the style of ride that could really, in my opinion, give SeaWorld Orlando that top 10 worthy coaster. I mean, Mako is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but something that's going to really kind of battle Stardust Racers, Iron Gwazi, and Velocicoaster for potentially the best coaster in Florida and one of the best in the entire country. So I have a lot to go over because I'm going to share with you guys 5 locations where SeaWorld Orlando could build this coaster and give you my final thoughts on if it's possible this thing will even get built. So let's get into this. So starting off, let's talk about when this coaster could potentially open, because SeaWorld went on a really rather crazy streak of new coasters. In 2022, we saw Icebreaker open up, 2023, Pipeline the Surf Coaster, and then 2024 was Penguin Trek. So what's going to be happening in 2026? Could this ride be theoretically ready to go in 2026? Sadly, I do not think so. We have to remember that SeaWorld Orlando is a year-round park. It's never closed. So they're going to need some time to really build this ride, especially since wherever they're going to build it, they're going to have to incorporate it into the park, and it's going to take some time to get that land ready to go for construction of a new roller coaster. And with that being said, I definitely think 2027 will be the year that SeaWorld Orlando opens up this coaster, if it is indeed what they're going to get. Because the survey also had a few other notable projects, but the coaster one is the one I gravitate to because I really want this to happen for SeaWorld Orlando. Now let's talk about these locations, because I want to break it down from the least likely to the likeliest. Starting off with location number 5. And this would, again, I don't really think this is going to actually happen, but I'm just brainstorming ideas of where they could actually build this. We will see the station be located behind Infinity Falls, and it would travel over the little water easement there into the parking lot, which is the employee parking lot. I'm sure there's ways they could rearrange the parking lot to fit this coaster in. Again, I don't really see this happening because with the new hotels, I believe, are still being built, located just to the right of this. You have to obviously have room for employees to park their cars as well. But again, this is a rather large plot of land that the park could easily build this style of ride at. If this would ever happen, I hope they would add, of course, trees around it so you just don't see cars when you're riding. But again, I don't see this happening. I'm just giving you my thoughts on where it could be. Location number 4, more likely, obviously, and that would see the station be located behind the Sea Lion exhibit, the Pacific Point Reserve, I think it is. And from here, this ride would actually have to travel under or over Kraken into the water area, as you see right here. Could this really happen? Would the Central Florida allow SeaWorld to build on top of the water? Who knows? Those are all questions that I do not know the answer to, and if you do, please let me know in the comments. A while back, there was a rumor that the Penguin Trek would have been a coaster that would actually travel onto the water, so that's where I got this at. But regardless, this is a slight possibility. I don't think it's very, very likely. Number 3, I think it definitely has a chance, and you would see the removal of the manatee exhibit. And as much as I like the manatees, let's face it, it's one of the most least visited exhibits at SeaWorld Orlando. And with that being said, if they would remove this area for the new coaster, what I really like about that is it really balances out SeaWorld as far as the coasters go, because they're either all in the back of the park or to the right of the park. Nothing over on the left-hand side if you're walking into the park. So I think that's a really solid fit. I really like this area of SeaWorld, so I kind of hope this doesn't happen because it's really relaxed. But again, at the same time, there's really nothing that's drawing people to this side of the park besides the Dolphin Cove area. Which brings me to location number 2, which I think is much more realistic. And that would be located behind Icebreaker along the Wild Arctic exhibit area, the building, and in between that and the picnic area. Now, I know they use the picnic pavilions for Hollow Scream as well as buyouts, company buyouts, but this area is more or less a maintenance area or just behind the scenes area. Some of those buildings, as you see here, they used to be the educational buildings. I'm sure that's what they still are, but they might not be, but regardless, those could get relocated somewhere else, and this is an area where they could easily have the coaster be located. They could actually go into the parking lot a little bit, but SeaWorld Orlando really suffers from the parking lot as far as they always have to use their overflow lot. So I don't think we're going to see this ride take up any parking spaces in the actual lot itself. But I think this area could very well be home to the next coaster. I think it does make sense in a lot of ways. Which brings me to number 1, and that is the area just behind the Orca Stadium, Shamu Stadium. And it's going to the layout would go over the pond with the beautiful fountain that's right next to or across the pathway from Infinity Falls. And this ride would pretty much be located all over water, which would be really cool. So I think this right here would be the most logical place for it, only due to there's no room for SeaWorld to build a new coaster without removing a Kraken. Kraken was built in 2000. It's a B&M Floorless coaster. I love it. Obviously, in 10 years from now, I'm going to question the future of the ride, but I don't think they're going to remove it so soon. They just, a couple years back, repainted the entire track. That's expensive. So I just don't see it going away anytime soon. That's why I'm trying to be very, very, creative with these locations. And this here, when I worked at SeaWorld 15 years ago, I actually thought that this would be a really cool area for a coaster and the station for it. I just think that'd be really, it's a solid fit. This area is not used at all by the park. And sure, the fountain area is pretty to look at, but what's prettier than a fountain and water than having a new roller coaster with that same fountain on top of the water? So I think that's where the location would most likely be. But who knows? I mean, SeaWorld, they're pretty, creative with their use of space. They might find another area to build this thing, but I highly doubt it. But let's talk about what type. The survey says here, a coaster experience unlike any other. This dynamic coaster will take riders through a series of extreme elements, including a vertical launch, inversions, moments of weightlessness, high-speed turns, and more, all in an open-field vehicle so you can experience every part of it. Additionally, riders will experience unique track elements which will build the anticipation at the beginning of the experience using special effects and motion never seen before. So again, it is rather intriguing. This project is going to feature inversions, airtime, some really cool theming elements. So a mock striker coaster is one of the first ones that come to mind. I can easily see that being one of the better fits for this ride. Obviously, SeaWorld parks have worked with mock rides in the past, and as much as everyone raves about Voltron over at Europa Park, if SeaWorld Orlando wants a reliable coaster that's going to bring them crowds coming through that front gate, the mock rides is probably the best choice for them due to the reliability and everything that the striker coaster can do. Now, on the flip side, Intamin does have this new Intamin vertical launch coaster, which looks amazing and phenomenal. But what I don't like about this is the trains are 2 across, and I think for SeaWorld's coaster, it's going to be better with obviously the AI generated concept art doesn't mean much, but they do have 4 across. But with the Intamin, it could go taller, faster, more intense, more crazy. The question is, how much money does SeaWorld want to spend? How tall do they want to go? How many inversions? I think both would be a solid fit. I think both would potentially be a top 10 worthy coaster. Again, if SeaWorld wanted to spend the money on it. If I was a betting man, due to the relationship with SeaWorld and other companies, I mean, SeaWorld and the United Parks have worked with both companies in the past. So most recently with Intamin, so hopefully that could be the one. But again, those are my thoughts on this. I think it's a solid addition. SeaWorld Orlando's next coaster should be generated towards the thrill riders, since Penguin Trek was just added. So could this be happening? I think it's a legitimate chance, and I think definitely 2027. And those are the areas. Now, I would love to know what your thoughts are on this, and if you're planning a trip to SeaWorld Orlando, be sure to check out my SeaWorld Ultimate Guide, where I share with you all the best details and tips on how to have the best day possible at this wonderful park. With that being said, you know what to do. Share with me your predictions and thoughts on this in the comments, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and keep riding coasters.